Hey, yeah, it's me again, Dan, and you can see the inner harbor against the backdrop there. So yeah, I am just off the downtown in beautiful Owen Sound, Ontario, Canada. And once again, I want to talk briefly about Calvin Smith of AIG Canada. That's Answers in Genesis Canada. Yeah, that's Ken Ham's little scam. Has a Canadian branch. What can I say? Young Earth Creationism is a multinational corporation run for profit. But let's get back on topic. What I find is that young earthers, being religious fundamentalists, have a desperate craving for persecution. They're addicted. They get a rush from the sense of persecution that comes from being mocked for their stupid, asinine comments that they make in defense of their, well, indefensible nonsense. You see, YECs, that's young earth creationists, are addicted to a drug called persecution, which, just like meth, just like crack, just like fentanyl, gives them a high. It gives them a rush that they just can't get enough of. And unlike those other drugs, persecution is perfectly legal. They can binge on that shit, and they won't overdose, and they won't get in any kind of legal problems for it. So for them, it's the perfect drug. If I were to stand in the middle of that intersection, you would reasonably expect people to yell at me. And that's what young earthers do. They stand in the middle of the intersection of human progress, holding up traffic, drawing attention to themselves, waiting for somebody to yell at them to get off the goddamn street, so that they can then turn around and say, "Oh, look, I'm being persecuted. I must be really holy to be persecuted." And that's really what it boils down to. People with really comfortable lives bragging about how persecuted they are. Because ultimately, yeah, they want the persecution points, but they never actually go any place where they might actually be persecuted. Funny how that works. So what you have is people sitting in their comfortable easy chairs, bragging to one another, saying, "Oh, I was persecuted once yesterday." And then another one pipes up, "Well, I'm holier than you because I was persecuted twice yesterday." And then somebody else will say, "Yeah, well, I was persecuted 3 times yesterday, so I'm the holiest one here." And then somebody else will try to say that they were persecuted 4 times yesterday. That makes them even holier. And that's really what yeckery boils down to, is people who have never experienced actual persecution bragging about how persecuted they are because they've gone out of their way to create circumstances where people will tell them to fuck off. And that's what young earth creationism is really all about, I think. Trying to find a reason to get people to tell you to fuck off. And this here is St. Andrew's Presbyterian, which is a working church where they don't do yeckery because yeckery is bullshit. Yeckery is comfortable, privileged people pretending that they're being persecuted. This is working Christianity, trying to create a better world where nobody will be persecuted. Yeah, that's right. Working Christianity. Run by church mice, as opposed to church monkeys, which is what young earth creationism is. It's a bunch of church monkeys. People who go to church to shout out triumphantly, "I'm so humble, look at me, I'm so humble," and who go out of their way to cause problems that'll get them in shit so they can brag about how persecuted they are. And that's because church monkeys don't give a damn about Jesus. In fact, a lot of them would rather worship Donald Trump. See, at the end of the day, AIG and AIG Canada are just scams. And people like Calvin Smith and, dare I say it, Ken Ham, to say nothing of Kent Hovind and Kenneth Copeland, are just scammers. They're con men robbing you. And if you give them your money, they're not going to get you into heaven. All they're going to do is buy themselves another bigger private jet. And that is something to think about. Oh, and now I'm at Brigitte's. And yeah, at the end of the day, reality has to win over doctrine, dogma, and ideology. I've said this before, and I will say this again. If you require reality to change, to accommodate doctrine, you are fighting a losing battle. And it's going to go badly for you. So, with that in mind, do you really want to be embracing young Earth creationism? Or do you want to live in the real world, where reality is a thing, where facts and evidence matter, and where life does not depend upon magic spells and incantations, but rather is bounded by, dare I say it, reality? Something to think about.